welcome to episode 6 of Keep On Living. My name is Jack Hendricks. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to listen along with us and listen to some different perspectives and different ideas that we have. I say we like we're a team. It's just me. My name's Jack. If this is your first episode listening, if it's your first time checking in, like I said, welcome. Thank you so much. I do have some updates today for everybody to kind of get everybody up to speed on what we are looking at now. So we are in a much more real situation than we've been in the past. So like I said, this is episode 6. You will notice if you've listened to episodes 1 through 5, this is the first one that is recorded. So we are now on YouTube. Thank you so much for taking some time to check us out on YouTube. We'll now be recording all of our podcasts, hopefully, and posting them not only on YouTube, but also now our website. So you can check us out on kolpod.com. So that's KOLPOD.com. We're going to have, we'll post all of the audio podcasts on there. There's a link to our YouTube channel. We'll be posting videos periodically on there. But more than anything on the website, we're going to start posting some blog posts. I'll have some different ideas that not only I express on the podcast, but also now I'll be able to write about them as well. And it'll kind of be a way for me to expand upon what I've talked about on the podcast. And I'm also going to use the podcast as a way to expand upon some things that I've written about in the blog. So they'll kind of go hand in hand. Hopefully they'll kind of connect with each other. In an ideal world, I'll have one podcast for each blog and one blog for each podcast. Hopefully, they're kind of connecting with ideas. So that's exciting. I'm pumped about that. It should be really fun. I'm going to start posting some stuff on TikTok. So this is the first thing that we're filming. So this is the first time we're getting actually some video. So that's exciting. It'll be on my personal TikTok. You can check me out there at Juco Jack. So that's JucoJack on TikTok. We'll be posting some of the snippets of the podcast, and then obviously I'll just be posting some of my personal content on there as well. One last thing here, you can also check us out now on Instagram. So that's at KOL.pod. So KOL.pod. We only have one post on there, but it's going to be similar to TikTok. We'll be posting some shorter videos, maybe some Instagram TV stuff like that, and then just some daily stuff that relates to what we talk about. So we are where we are at right now. And yeah, it's exciting. It is exciting. Yeah, that's what I've got for updates on the podcast. So I kind of want to jump into what we're going to talk about today. I know I have wanted to talk about things other than the coronavirus, which I will today a little bit, but I do want to start with some updates, and I want to start by saying I am not happy right now. I'm really not. I'm not happy by how the progression of the situation has been going. I'm not happy with what a lot of the new information that we're getting. I'm not happy with the actions that we're taking. So last night, the FDA finally authorized emergency use of that hydroxychloroquine drug that I had been talking about for a while. That's very exciting news. That's awesome. That means a lot more people are going to be able to be treated by this drug, which is great. In theory, you would think, awesome, we can kind of calm down a little bit now because we actually have a real treatment process that it is working. Today, I was reading on Twitter about a doctor named Vladimir Zelenko. He operates out of Monroe, New York. So New York has become the epicenter for coronavirus within the United States. And I was reading, he has been treating patients with hydroxychloroquine for a while now with coronavirus. And the statistic that I read was he had treated over 600 people with a 0% death rate. That's awesome, right? That's really exciting. That's really great news. But you can't really believe everything you hear. Obviously, if you read it on Twitter or you read it on just some website, you got to think about it a little bit. So I called his office. I looked him up online and I called the office because I wanted to confirm the statistics, and they did confirm those statistics for me. So coming not only from a couple sources online on Twitter and a website from CanadaGlobalResearch.ca. Dr. Zelenko has been doing a great job in New York, but he hasn't been getting the press that you would think that a successful trial like this would get. And that's where I'm frustrated, and that's where I'm going to kind of lead into some stuff other than the coronavirus that I want to talk about. Why aren't these improvements, why aren't these upgrades getting the attention that they deserve? And I think that I've narrowed it down to an interesting concept that I think you will find interesting when you read the blog post. We don't want this to go away. We as a society, at the end of the day, we really don't want this to go away, and it's scary, and a lot of people don't understand it, and it's upsetting that we aren't conscious enough to understand what's going on. Here's kind of what I'm talking about here. So the title of the blog post that I posted a couple days ago is called "We Want to Complain," and it talks about when we're in situations, when we're in difficult situations, it's comforting to have something or somebody to blame. It is easy. It's comforting to us, and oftentimes we try and find those things because it makes our lives easier. What is a better excuse than a global pandemic? Well, it is one of the best excuses ever. I talk about excuses. There is a difference between an excuse and an explanation, and I would really argue that the coronavirus is an explanation. Right now, if you were to say, I'm not focusing very well at home because of the coronavirus, a lot of people say, stop making excuses. I take a step back from that, and I'm a little bit more compassionate than a lot of people are when it comes to this stuff. That is a valid explanation. A global pandemic is a valid explanation as to why you are not performing at the top level, as to why you're not yourself. However, there are many of us that can still find a way out of that. There are many of us that can find a way out of that explanation and that excuse, right? So I give an example from my own life. It's something that I've experienced. So I played baseball in college for a couple years. In the first 2 years, I played at a really small community college in the middle of nowhere, Illinois, and you'll hear me talk about it much more down the road. And you'll hear me talk about this relationship that I had with my head coach as well, and it was not a good one. He did not like me, and I didn't like him. It was a bad relationship from the start. We butted heads constantly, and it just was not going well, right? And I realized this very early on. I realized that I was in a bad situation. But I stayed. I stayed at that school, and I continued to fight forward. And looking back on it now, looking back on that situation, I think that it was somewhat comforting to me to know that regardless of what happened in my playing career, in my head, I had an excuse. I had somebody to blame. I had a reason. And you ask many people that know me, it's a fairly valid reason. I'll tell stories down the road about this. There are plenty of situations where you would be shocked as to what had happened. And so it really was more of a reason. I don't want to be one of those kids that's like, my head coach hated. No, there was something going on, and there's and it's different story for a different day. But when I talk about that comfort aspect, there are times in our lives, there are times when we are in a tough situation, and it is easier for us to find something to blame or to say, this is the reason why. But it scares me that we may be using coronavirus a little bit too much. It scares me that a lot of people can talk and complain and say, coronavirus is ruining my life. It is. I agree with that. I'm not trying to say that that's wrong. I'm not. But we should try and get rid of that. I talk about my playing experience in college. I should have left. I should have transferred. I should have left after my first year. I had that option, but I didn't. Maybe because I was stupid. I was a stupid 19-year-old kid who didn't know what he was doing. But if you really look into my subconscious, there probably was a piece of me that said, you know what? It's easier for me to be here because I have an out. I have somebody to blame. I have a reasonable explanation to allow me to not be great. That's what we have right now. The coronavirus is that one thing that we can always talk about, that we can always blame, that we can always point to if we're not our best selves. But it's not responsible to not get rid of it. We should be trying to push it away. We should be trying to get to the point where we can't blame anything. In an ideal world, we're all in a situation where we have nothing to blame, where we have zero excuses and explanations as to why we are not performing. Now, I caution you here. There is a huge difference between an excuse and an explanation. A huge difference. If we have explanations as to why we didn't perform or to why we weren't our best selves, then we can get better. It's insane to think that failing shouldn't come with some sort of explanation. You should always feel comfortable looking back on a failure and dissecting it and understanding why you have failed, right? That's how you don't fail the next time. An excuse is really something that is unrealistic, right? An excuse right now would be I don't have, and this is different for everybody's situation. I don't have the proper equipment to do my job right now. Really, if you have a company issued laptop and you have a cell phone, come on. We have the right tools, right? We have the right things. That's a little bit more of an excuse. I can't wake up early because I'm not motivated to get to work. That might be a little bit of an excuse. An explanation as to why you're not performing at the top level is, I have 4 kids and they're screaming their heads off from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. and that's when I get my work done. That's an explanation. That's a valid explanation. When and it's subjective, right? Somebody's excuse might be somebody's explanation. Somebody's explanation might be somebody's excuse. It really is dependent on who you are as a person, what your situation is, and what you're living through. The one thing that I want to pull out of this conversation is, at the end of the day, we want to get to a point where we have no ability to blame or complain about anything. So like I mentioned, I could have left, right? I could have left my situation. And now I know what you're thinking right now. You've sat back and you've said, Jack, screw you. I can't leave a global pandemic. Correct. You can't. We are in it and we're not leaving. But what we can do, this is where we can start to use a different tool. And I want to pause here for a second and say, none of this is easy. None of what I'm saying is easy. And also, I'm 20 years old. You shouldn't be listening to me. I have no credibility here. All I'm doing is providing some sort of anecdotal advice, some sort of anecdotal reference. Hope maybe you can apply it to your own life. There is nothing here. I do not want this podcast to turn into a motivational or anything of the sorts, right? I'm not tenured enough. I don't know necessarily what I'm talking about yet. All I'm trying to explain right now is I'm frustrated. And I'm frustrated because I see a lack of will to get this whole situation over with. When positive news comes out about new treatments and stuff, it doesn't seem like people are too excited, and that's frustrating to me. It is frustrating that we're not seeing this joy to get out of the situation, because a lot of people enjoy the situation that we're in. A lot of people enjoy having that excuse, having that out, right? It's comforting to a lot of people. And I get it. It's easy and it makes our lives easier, but it's not healthy and it's not good long term. Because if we can't get rid of this, it will become a part of our life, and eventually we're going to have to get out of it, right? Eventually we're going to have to go back to we are living a normal life. Eventually, we're going to have to get rid of the coronavirus and move on. Companies aren't going to be able to be closed forever. We can't just take a forever break. You can't work at home forever. There are things that have to happen to let the society move on, and it bothers me that there isn't a motivation of the population to get this over with. And yes, there are plenty of people that want this done, that are doing everything in their power to get rid of this. There are plenty of nurses and doctors on the ground, in the field, doing hard labor. There are plenty of people right now doing hard labor to try and get rid of this. But what I'm seeing is there's a lot of people that are 25 years old that are a intro accounting, first year accounting associate at a firm who don't care. And it's frustrating because there's a lot of people that need this to work. A lot of people that need this to go away so they can continue their lives. And that upsets me. That really, really upsets me. I just went off on a little tangent there. That's okay. We're gonna kind of get it back here. So I talked about leaving the situation, right? I talked about leaving a situation in which things aren't going well. Well, like I said, we can't leave a global pandemic, right? That's where we kind of have to start playing with our mindset a little bit. And this is not easy. Like I said, this is a very difficult thing to do. But what we can do is maybe we can think of this as an opportunity, right? Maybe we can think of this little hiatus as an opportunity for a lot of people, for a lot of different things too. There's a lot of people that weren't doing anything because they were so busy that they couldn't, pursue the things that they really liked. For instance, a guy really wanted to start a podcast and a blog, and now he has the time to do it. This is something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, but now I have so much time throughout the day that this is what I'm allowed to do. This is giving me time to get this all up and running. So that's exciting. And there's plenty of you out there that have some sort of vision like this as well. This is a great time to start that blog, that YouTube channel that you've always wanted to do. Even if you only do it for 3 weeks, it gives you something to do, right? And maybe you find out that you really, really like it, and then you continue it further. And maybe you adjust it a little bit because you don't have as much time, but you at least set that ground basis. And so that's something that's really exciting. Hang out with your family a little bit more. Reconnect with those people that you needed to connect with. That's something that a lot of people struggle with, I know, and it's not easy to live a life that way. And this is a great opportunity to reconnect with a lot of people. Take some time and take a breath. I know I talked about not making excuses for not being productive. There are plenty of you out there, plenty of you that have been grinding for the past 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years of your life, putting in crazy hours at the office just to make it. Now you're in a situation where maybe you could take a step back. Maybe you can give yourself a little bit of a break, reward yourself a little bit. You've done an amazing job. Maybe you take some time and just be yourself. Now, if being yourself is working 7 to 7 and you grind every single day, don't stop that. Be yourself. But if you've been going that extra mile and it's not been easy, now give yourself a little bit of time. It's okay. We are in uncharted territory here. It's okay to take some time for yourself. As long as there is not a negative perception to something else, right? So for instance, let's say you're upset because you can't work out, right? You're upset that the gyms are closed down and this is stupid. The coronavirus is messing with my health and fitness. Well, I don't know of a state that doesn't allow you to go for a run. I certainly know of nobody that is forcing you to not do push-ups and air squats in your living room. That's still allowed. You're allowed to do that. So there are options. There is an ability to adapt. We all have that ability to adapt. The ones that come out on top, the ones that really succeed in times like this, are the ones that are okay with adapting. And it's a short period of time too, right? It's not like it's going to be for the rest of the year, hopefully. Hopefully this is all wrapped up within the next few months. But the ones that really succeed, the ones that really thrive in situations like this are people that really have the ability and are okay with adapting. Everybody has the ability to adapt. The one thing that some people struggle with is not having that ability, not having the wherewithal to say, you know what, I'm going to change what I do for today, and I'm going to take a different route. I have a sticker on the back of my truck outside that says adjust and adapt. That's what we have to do right now. That as a society, as individuals, you have to adjust and adapt your daily life to just continue on. This podcast is called Keep On Living for a reason. We are in a situation where that's all we have to do is keep on living. Continue forward, continue that press on. It will get better. I promise you, everything will get better. Everything will resolve itself. But for now, all we can kind of do is just keep on living. And if we do that, we'll all come out on top. We will all get better. We will all get through this. The one thing I want to end here, the one thing I want to reiterate, we have to want this to end. We can't just allow this to continue to push us down because it's easy and it's an easy excuse to have. We have to end this. We have to shut it down. And together we can do that. And that comes with being excited about these new drugs that come out, being excited about these new treatments, supporting our doctors, supporting our hospitals, everybody like that. It's really, really important. We're in a crazy, crazy time. But we can get through this as long as we want to. And you should want to, because life's a lot more fun with freedom. Thank you for listening to episode 6 of Keep On Living. Like I mentioned, you can check us out online now, kolpod.com. Check me out on TikTok at JucoJack, on Instagram at kol.pod, and then our YouTube channel is also linked on our website. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to this. It really means a lot to me. It means a lot that you value anything that I'm saying. One thing I want to make very clear, DM me, reply or comment on any posts, anything like that. I will respond to you. I really genuinely believe in that. Any of my TikToks that ever grow, ever get big, I respond to every single comment. You can go on there and check. I respond to every single comment. It means a lot to me that you would take time out of your day to interact with a post that I have. And I want to make sure that I'm interacting with you as well. I've talked about this. Anytime I have a viewpoint and somebody else disagrees with me, I always take that into account. I always listen to it, and I always try and understand why somebody may be thinking something else, because hopefully that can improve both of our perspectives, right? Hopefully we can both grow from that and get better. So again, thank you so much for listening. Check us out, check that blog post out online, and we will continue posting some new stuff, and we're really excited how this is going. I'm really excited how this is going. Thank you so much.
But I keep on